Welcome to That's No Class. I'm Brian Baruman.
And I'm Morgan Darian.
Welcome back to the home of class, where we talk about the most interesting and funny things happening in the news and in our lives, try to figure out how to live classy, and call out no-class moves.
This week, Brian brings more explorations of the nature of time. I covered news on D's nuts. We discuss Brian's innocence. My segment, Clear the Plates, is back. And as always, we end with our no-class picks.
We're back home in the studio. We took it all apart. We put it all back together again. Man, the lighting was so good at the Sailor and the Dock, though.
That's true.
But there's no place like home. All right, let's get to some news.
Now here's the news.
All right, you know, here on TNC, we somehow seem to talk a lot about the nature of time and science and the theory of relativity. Well, Here's another one, friend. Let's see how you feel about this.
What?
Scientists who deal with time, they're called metrologists,
Ooh.
say we have a crisis coming.
Okay, what?
You remember?
In the area of time?
In the realm of time.
Okay.
You remember atomic clocks?
No.
Okay, well, we talked about them when we talked about the theory of relativity.
You mean they're the clocks on the satellites?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I didn't know that's what they were called, but yes, now I remember.
And on the Earth, they're the most accurate clocks ever made. We use them to tell time, but we also use the rotation of the Earth, the sun rising and setting, as time.
Yeah.
So as we all know, one full rotation of the Earth every 24 hours. But apparently the Earth isn't always spinning at exactly the same rate, and it's actually been speeding up over the eons. Ooh. So whenever this happens, when an Earth 24-hour cycle is faster than an atomic clock's 24-hour cycle by close to a full second,
okay,
they add what's called a leap second to what's called Coordinated Universal Time, or UTC, which is what all the tech and all the satellites and all the wild stuff that none of us understand how it works, that all uses UTC.
Okay.
You with me so far?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the wild thing.
Okay.
It looks like the Earth's rotation is starting to slow down for what might be the first time since the last ice age. Why? Because of a process called core-mantle coupling, as in the Earth's core and the Earth's mantle. Now, guys, I read through a lot of stuff, and I still have no idea what core-mantle coupling is.
You're going to freaking leave us on this edge of this cliff right now?
No, but I'm going to offer you guys a deal. If somebody can understand in a way that they can explain it to me what core-mantle coupling is, whatever the heck this is, you get a TNC Gold Star.
Coupling.
They interact with each other somehow, and it's slowing the rotation of the Earth. It's so theoretical that everything I looked up was giving me completely different terminology and all that.
Because they can't actually know.
Exactly. So all this to say,
how do they even know it's that then?
I don't know, but I can't explain what it is. So I was just going to say it's something to do with this, and I can't explain it, and it is just what it is.
Okay.
So whatever.
Move on to the next part.
Okay, so they think that that's what it's doing. It's slowing the Earth's rotation. Meteorologists thought that within the next 2 years, for the first time ever, they would have to remove a leap second from universal time. Instead of adding a second, they would have to take a second away.
Okay.
But here's something wild and unexpected.
What?
Apparently, the melting of the ice caps is actually speeding up the Earth again. So it's undoing some of what this core mantle decoupling was doing. So they thought that they were going to have to take away a second in 2 years. Now it's supposed to be something like it's probably not till 2029 that this is going to happen. But
so we're back to the original time.
No, it's late. No, we won't be. Well, so this is the crazy thing about it, is that when it finally happens, to get us back to original time, a second will be removed from history. People are really worried about this.
But
if
why
you take them away,
why does it matter?
The satellites are in synchronization, you know?
Okay.
Like all of the things and GPS and all that stuff is all related. They're making it like, it's Y2K all over again.
You guys are going to figure it out.
But
It'll be okay.
That's what I said. I said, we got through that. We made it. We'll probably make it through.
Happening in a while? Like, you guys have some time.
Just in a couple years.
This is insane.
More time. Okay, what do you got?
Okay, my news hails from Green Bay, Wisconsin, my old state.
Yep.
Hello to my cheeseheads out there. So this guy, this 42-year-old guy, is accused of using a deadly weapon and disorderly conduct. You know, all those things.
Yep.
Because he got into an argument with his daughter and her boyfriend. He appeared to be highly intoxicated, so we already know this guy needs to calm the heck down.
Mm-hmm.
It started because his daughter was like, hey, can you contribute to chores and let the puppies outside? And he was like, nope, you're locked out of this house forever. And he then opens the door twice, once to punch her in the shoulder and then to put a BB gun in her face. Now, this is pretty much a run-of-the-mill, like, trash person being a trash.
Yep.
But I had to tell you about this guy because back in 2011, Derek Kroll changed his name to Des Nuts Kroll. And then Mr. Des Nuts, yes, I'm saying it that way for a reason, Des, he adds another E in 2017 so that it is now D's Nuts Kroll.
This is legally D's Nuts.
Legally. The article says that D's Nuts is not a literal reference to a man's nether regions, but rather it's an expression used to deliberately interrupt or divert a conversation, a way to disrespect whatever discussion is currently occurring. But I'm like, yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's still about private parts. The original meaning is meant to interrupt, but you're interrupting with a phrase about your nuts.
That's a really, like, eloquent way to describe like what D's Nuts is and like how it's used. Now, the origin of D's Nuts, I think, is shrouded in mystery.
No, actually, I know what it is.
I wonder if it's the same as what I've heard.
What do you think it is?
I don't really remember, but it happened when I was in middle school. Everyone was
Probably.
like...
I think it was around that time.
The rumor around my school was someone in my school invented it.
No, it is not
but
from that.
That's probably true of every middle school in the country. So what's your story?
I think from the article it said that, I don't want to quote, it's a rapper, either like Dr. Dre or someone like that, like back in the day, had it in a rap.
Dropped it in a rap.
And then it became a thing.
D's Nuts.
So stupid.
Stupid. Very nice.
What, do you have personal news?
I do. While we were in Oklahoma, we did something I've never done before, and it was so cool. We sailed on a boat. And I've been on many boats, and all boats are cool. But this, moving on the water at speed and steering and all that, just with the power of the wind, it was amazing.
I've never seen you so happy.
Truly one of the coolest things I think I've ever experienced. Something completely new, which is hard at my age to experience something completely new. Morgan's sister's boyfriend, whose boat it was, explained how it worked. This is what's happening. This is this. There's a thing called a keel. I never understood what a keel was. This is moving in the water. Friend, we might need to get a little sailboat.
It was really cool.
Super cool.
And wasn't it like $1,000 or
it's like
something?
$1,000. Granted, not a new boat.
But I don't want to go on the ocean.
I don't either. So
That sounds scary.
it's tough.
Nah,
We'll make our own.
maybe someday.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Sailing. Shout out to the sailors.
I finally bought workout shoes that don't squish my toes.
How did it go?
I'm so happy about it.
Did you
It was
notice a
glorious.
difference?
Yes.
You
I
know-
just always had this thing where I was like, oh my God, I don't want my feet to look ginormous.
What is that? Where does that come from?
I don't know.
Who put this into you women's minds that it is
know.
like unfeminine or something for you to have a big foot?
I mean, I
It's
think
still
it
not as big a foot as a man's foot is.
So true.
Like, what's
Mine
the
are
big
like
deal?
tiny compared to yours.
We're about the same height, and my foot is much larger than your foot. You're not in like any danger.
I know. If I wore your shoes, I would look like a clown.
Well, I'm happy that that worked out for you.
It's luxurious.
Years later, finally, I'm vindicated on this.
Thank you for being my mom.
Glad that it worked. Okay, when we come back, no good deed goes unpunished in the food service world. And then we've got some big surprises from Sooner Country. Thanks so much for being here. What? Sooner Country? That's what you call Oklahoma. We love having you. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Morgan has two stories about croissants. The first takes place at her restaurant, and the second takes place in Paris. Both have a few common threads. Like I said, there are croissants. There is a love for the cafes and the restaurants that tie us to our location, and there are rude waiters. In the first case, she is the rude waiter. In this week's Clear the Plates.
Most of the time it's called for. I suppose I shouldn't really use the word rude because I'm pretty sure my definition of myself being rude might be what everyone else calls serious or professional. But I must admit that in the past couple of years, an edge has entered my tone. No one would ever be able to call me on it. But I know it's there, and guests wither under it because of their myriad counts of idiocy. I am the lawyer and the judge in my domain. But there's this woman who comes into our restaurant almost every morning to order 3 croissants. Me, one other server, and a couple of baristas always throw an extra croissant in because she's really sweet. And by God, she's spending thousands of dollars on flour and water and butter. So why not throw in an extra one every so often? But then I hear from the other server that this customer told on us. She told the manager and was like, I've just been so torn. I feel a moral obligation to tell you that they've been giving me an extra croissant. So, of course, this other server who's been doing it too warns me, and it's like, dude, don't give her extra croissants. She told on us. And I'm like, cool, done deal. Then she comes in this past week, and the barista's like, oh, grab her an extra one. And in front of her, because I can't help myself, I'm like, no can do. Brenda told on us, so no more extra croissants.
To her face, yes, like in front of her?
In front of her.
Okay.
And she starts like hyperventilating, being like, oh my God, no, I must tell you what happened. I must.
The truth.
She's like literally like having a panic attack.
What is the truth?
So she's like, no, the other server gave me a croissant. And then this other worker, after that server left, was like, we don't do that. That's wrong. I'm going to tell the manager. So I tried to get ahead of it.
This other person told the customer.
We don't do that. That's
crazy
that's
thing
against
to do.
the rules.
Why would you tell the customer that?
I don't know.
Okay. All
so
right.
psycho.
Okay.
So now the customer is asking for the other server's phone number so she can explain herself because that's how guilty she feels.
No.
Full panic.
I'll tell you this.
What?
I am super jealous that she's getting free croissants.
I know.
Because we all know that croissants are overpriced as hell.
Yeah, they are.
But at the same time, if you've ever tried to make a croissant, if
Yeah.
you've ever done the Google search to get a recipe in a croissant, you know that it's basically an impossible thing that you would never be able to do
Yeah.
yourself and that it takes like 2 days.
No, dude, she actually said she tried to look it up to make her own because she didn't come into our restaurant for 3 days because she was so traumatized.
And she's realized that she couldn't make it at home.
No, she was like,
Realized
I
that's
had to
not
come
an
back.
option.
I
You
had
need to continue to buy croissants.
I had to
'cause
face
I will
you guys.
never be able
because
never be able
Yeah.
to make it myself.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen.
And I mean, when she was about to pass out in front of me, I was finally like, oh man, I'm the worst. But normally, I have no qualms about putting people in their place or setting a boundary or laughing at them because they're being ridiculous.
Yeah.
This leads me into my second bit about croissants and rude waiters. My brothers and sisters in Paris. The serving staff I look up to. Oh, how the city reveres them. Oh, how I wish America would follow suit. I'm just going to read parts of this article written by John Leicester because he already did all the hard work for me and I like his style. Quote, France's capital resurrected a 110-year-old foot race for its servers on Sunday. The dash through central Paris celebrated the dexterous and, yes, by their own admission, sometimes famously moody men and women without whom France wouldn't be France. Why? Because they make France's cafes and restaurants tick. Without them, where would the French gather to put the world to rights over drink and food? Where would they quarrel and fall in and out of love? And where else could they simply sit and let their minds wander? They have penned songs and poems about their bistros, so attached are they to their watering holes that for generations have nourished their bodies and souls. The waitering race was resurrected after a 13-year hiatus. This time, a couple hundred servers dressed up in their uniforms with the finest sporting bow ties, loaded up their trays with the regulation pastry, small but empty coffee cup, and a full glass of water for the 1.25 mile loop starting and finishing at City Hall.
Do they hold a tray?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
like this.
Okay.
Okay, the winner in the women's category started waiting at age 16, is now 34, and said she cannot envisage any other life for herself. Quote, I love it as much as I hate it. It's in my skin. I cannot leave it. It's hard. It's exhausting. It's demanding. It's 12 hours per day. It's no weekends. It's no Christmases. But it's part of my DNA. I have been shaped in life and in the job by the customers, all of the people I have met. Although all smiles on this occasion, competitors acknowledge that's not always the case when they are rushed at work. The customers may always be right in other countries, but the server has the final word in France, feeding their reputation for being abrupt, moody, and even rude at times. Quote, French pride means that in little professions like this, they don't want to be trampled on, said one server who's retiring after 40 years. It's not lack of respect, rather, it's more state of mind, he said. The capital's mayor, Anne Hidalgo, said cafes and restaurants are really the soul of Paris. The bistro is where we go to meet people, where we go for our little coffee, our little drink, where we also go to argue, to love, and embrace each other. The cafe and the bistro are life.
It's so interesting.
I know.
What a pride. That makes me think about the profession completely differently.
I like it so much.
It honestly does. You should just say that when you're being rude. Just tell your coworker to say, sorry, she worked in France and it's different there.
They respect the waiter.
That's really interesting.
Isn't that cool? I read that last line on my own and I was like, I'm putting this in the show. I don't care if it doesn't interest anyone else. I'm crying right now. Like,
No,
what?
It's I mean, no, there is a pride, man. Blue collar work, doing something that is you. That's something that we're never going to lose. That's always going to be a part of us.
Yeah.
And when you're working amongst people who have only been white collar their entire lives, you're going to be like, I am different from you, just inherently. I may
Yeah.
look the same, but I am different. I've been shaped by my environment.
Interesting. Yes.
It's really cool.
I liked it.
That's what I love about Clear the Plates. It's about all elements of the server world. And I never thought about you having brothers and sisters in France, but you absolutely do. It makes perfect freaking sense. Love it. Okay. When we come back, some memories and surprises we brought back home with us from OKC. And then, of course, we've got your no class picks. Stay with us. Welcome back. So we were in Oklahoma last week, a place neither Morgan or I had ever been to before. And if you've listened to this show for a while, you know we travel quite a bit. We love seeing new places and experiencing new things and learning things about places we'd only ever heard of before. And on this trip, I learned a lot about a community I didn't know Oklahoma even had, let alone that it was a big thing. So we'd been in Oklahoma for about 24 hours. I really didn't have any strong impressions.
Yeah.
A lot of bugs. It's flat.
A lot of bugs.
But then I also saw some stuff that reminded me of home in LA. And Morgan tells me this all the time when we're in a place and it has things I recognize from LA. She says, don't assume that because you see it, it's as common here as it is in LA. You don't know how different LA is because you grew up there. Don't think these isolated things are patterns of common behavior here or that they have the same meaning that it does where you come from.
Okay.
So I try to keep that in mind. But we're walking around and I'm talking to some people and a woman says she's got to pick up her wife from the airport. And then I see another pair of women walking and holding hands. Then I'm seeing another pair of women with their toddlers together. And inside my head, I'm hearing Morgan say, don't create patterns. There aren't any. You're just from LA. But all the evidence I'm seeing has me thinking, hold up. Is there a gay community in Oklahoma freaking City?
Well, I think there's a gay community everywhere, isn't there?
I don't know because I don't know anything about anywhere except
I guess
the
you're
place
right.
that I've been. So,
Me
you
too.
I assume that in a relatively conservative state
Yeah.
that, it's not going to be, people wouldn't feel open and comfortable with it. It's common
Sure.
in LA, but is it common there?
Oh.
Well, I did a little research.
Oh.
Listen to this, friend.
Okay.
According to the Oklahoma City Convention and Visitors Bureau, there is a big LGBTQ plus scene in Oklahoma City, and it's centered in the 39th Street District, which is just a stone's throw from where we were.
Oh.
And according to Wikipedia, it's widely regarded, this 39th Street District,
Okay.
as the largest gay and lesbian district in the Great Plains and central regions of the United States and one of the largest in the South.
What?
So I'm not crazy.
You're not.
I am seeing real patterns, and my
gosh.
LGBTQ plus homies are all up in Oklahoma City representing. My favorite thing about this,
No idea.
the 39th District has a nickname.
Okay.
It's called the Gayborhood.
Awesome.
And friend, you know why I love this name.
Yeah, because it's a pun.
Well, the literal and technical name for this is a portmanteau. This is the combining of two words into one. Literally my favorite thing. A kinkle,
right.
a bromance,
Oh, yeah.
a gayborhood.
A
Such a
gayborhood.
cool nickname. But that's not all. I love that. But that is not all.
What else?
Not only is the gayborhood a big deal for Oklahoma City, but according to Wikipedia, the 39th Street District attracts large number of gay and lesbian tourists, particularly on weekends from elsewhere in Oklahoma, from the surrounding states of Arkansas, Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, New Mexico, and Texas. And it is also a popular stopping point for cross-country LGBTQ plus travelers.
That makes sense.
It does,
I had no idea.
but had no idea about it, literally at all.
We're not in touch with
We're
the
not
scene.
up on game. Sounds a lot like West Hollywood.
Yeah.
Who knew? And this did come up again in a surprising way. Morgan and I went with her sister and her sister's boyfriend to have cocktails at this cool bar after we'd recorded last week's episode. And I have to use the bathroom, and I pass these two dudes sitting at the bar, and they're having this loud conversation. One saying to the other, "It's a movie you have to understand. It's greatness. It will change your life. It's a masterpiece." And as the TNC listeners know, I'm a movie guy. So like my ear is up. And I use the bathroom, I come out, and I think, I gotta ask these guys what movie they're talking about. So I approach them, say, "Hey guys, what's the movie we're talking about here?" And they say, "Oh, you're a movie guy." And they're super nice, and we're talking, and it turns out they're talking about Hereditary, and they're asking me where I'm from, and we're having a good time talking. I guess I lose track of some time. So they send Willa's boyfriend, Hamid, over to get me. And then he gets sucked in too because they know about Sailor in the Dock. And then we're all talking. And then suddenly Morgan's there. And sweet, friendly Morgan, she is not smiling. And I say, "Oh, hey, this is my wife." And she says, "Sorry, guys, but this is our last night in town, and we're visiting my sister, so we have to go back to our table. So bye." And I shake hands, and we go back to the table again. Morgan and her sister have this look on their face.
You're so innocent and sweet. I'm like, those guys are gay. They wanted a snack, and you delivered it on a platter. You're like, let me talk to you.
I was like,
It was such a long amount of time.
was it?
Yes.
I was like, these are just nice guys. And Hamid's here, and we're talking, and we're chatting it up, and like...
I mean, if we were like out at a bar just to socialize, okay, fine, I don't care. But we paid money to go to Oklahoma to be with my sister for 2 days.
Yeah.
It was the last night. So my thinking is, why would you care about social etiquette when trying to leave a conversation with someone who's drunk, who you are never going to see again? It literally doesn't matter.
No.
The only way it would matter is if you really offended someone.
You
or
didn't
something.
do anything wrong at all in coming to take me. You did the right thing. I was just surprised that I didn't understand what was happening on their end of that interaction.
You just haven't been on that end of
I don't think
that type of interaction.
I don't think I've ever been on that end.
I
Or
have
if I am-
experienced many a bar in my day, and I can spot a pickup a mile away, and you were just like, la-di-da, new friends to talk about movies with. And I'm like, nah.
New movie friends.
No. They're looking for something a little more than my friend.
And then I was still a little skeptical,
You're so
but
crazy.
and I was like, maybe not. Maybe not. I'll tell you this.
I know.
They were very classy.
Yeah, of course.
For being drunk, they were
Yeah.
very classy. They never said anything gross or weird.
They were funny.
Like, I was like, all right.
They're having a good
nice
time.
guys. But then one
course.
of them gave Hamid the eye as he walked past.
One of them was like staring at you whenever he would go in and out for a smoke. And then Hamid like waved at the other guy, and the other guy's like, "Oh my God, stop it with that smile. Stop doing that to me. Don't give me that look." And Hamid was like still confused. Like he didn't understand anything.
It wasn't a bad experience. It's just
No,
like, oh,
it's
that's
not
nice.
a bad
That's
thing
flattering.
to happen. It's just that it was like, oh my God, okay, like, are you done for talking to them for a half hour?
And you've completely misread this
Yes.
situation, and it's time to go talk now.
They're not like that excited about like talking about
About-
your story
about
and like
movies.
where you're from. They're just doing that to like be friendly.
Well, what I like about you and I appreciate about you
Mm-hmm.
is that you don't care whether it's man or woman that's like trying to flirt with me. You're just like, nope. You get.
I mean, especially if they know you're married.
Well, that guy didn't do anything.
No, he was being completely appropriate.
Yeah, he was. He was very appropriate.
No, I wasn't mad at all.
No, I know. You were just like,
I was just like,
the
let's
clock
go.
is ticking. This is our last night. We need
this
to
could
go.
last forever because Brian doesn't know what's happening and he thinks they're just like really interested in his life story.
Anyway, it was.
Oh my God. Like that girl, remember that girl who was like, you were talking about like Russian history or something that no one
I was talking
wants
about
to
the
talk
invasion
about.
of Ukraine.
Literally no one wants to talk. And she's like touching your arm. She's like, oh my God, I've always wanted to know about this. And I'm like, have you, bitch? Like, have you?
No idea, man.
Amazing.
Anyway,
You're
sorry.
so sweet and
I love
innocent
you.
and kind.
I rock this ring. Everyone sees it. Everyone sees it. Never take this off.
But
never
some of them
take it off.
don't care.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, you just never know what a city is like until you visit. So shout out to all my LGBTQ plus people in OKC. Didn't know you had a cool thing going there.
Didn't know.
Makes me happy to learn about it.
Yeah.
So cool.
That kind of gives me some like little hope for the middle of the country.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
I just don't really
Like
know
you
like
said.
what the areas are like.
Yeah,
and stuff
you don't
and
know
what it's like for people.
Yeah, and you don't know how comfortable they feel being open about themselves and like not worrying about things. So it's nice that people have places that they feel comfortable and they have families.
Yes,
It's
I'm
great.
sure it's still harder, obviously,
I'm
for
sure.
a lot of reasons and terrible things that have happened. But
Yeah.
it's nice to see.
It's nice to see, man.
Yeah.
Okay, when we come back, it's that time. Your No Class Picks of the Week. Stay with us. It's time to wind down the show here, bring it to a close the only proper way with our No Class Picks of the Week.
You're just a jealous,
No class.
lazy fuck.
No class pick. Oh, it's me.
It is you.
There are layers of no class here, so I'm going to build you a cake. The first layer is this. I have a professor who starts the first class by outlining his syllabus, saying that if you do the written posts each week, you'll get an A, and that he doesn't care about attendance. And then he says, but guess what? You're going to want to come because our discussions are going to be fun. And I guarantee you're going to want to be here. I won't even have to ask you to be here. You'll be excited to come back to my class each week. And I'm like, that's a bold statement.
Bold talk from a teacher.
So first layer of this no class cake is the general like ickiness for thinking so highly of himself and voicing it before we've had a chance to judge for ourselves. Second layer, some students thrive without rules and without expectations and without competition. Some do not. So by doing the opposite of so many professors, he is now cutting out the students who need a bit of motivation to take an interest in learning something that is a requirement for graduation. We didn't pick this class. Okay, the third layer of this no class cake is revealed after I attend the second and third lectures, both of which were not only extremely annoying and boring, but were full of tangents used to bolster his own ego. It's no class to waste people's time, and whenever someone does this to me, I will be venting on here. We have one life. Stealing my minutes is a grave offense, and I am offended.
Okay.
What's yours?
All right. Mine is Morgan and I are in the elevator, and a guy gets in with us, and I've seen him before, but I've never seen his dog.
Oh.
And how would you describe this dog visually?
Like kind of like a Labradoodle, but like brown,
Okay.
curly hair, right?
I would describe no. I think it was
long and
kind of
curly
straight.
hair.
It was kind of like
What?
like moppish.
Why did you even ask me?
Because you know dog words and I don't. You know, to me, I'm
It's
just like,
probably
oh, it's a dog.
it's probably some sort of doodle,
Was it?
but it's like a medium-sized one.
I tell myself I don't like how doodles look, and that's why I'm resistant to that. Okay, but he's
Hard eye roll.
okay. He's a little dog. He looks kind of like a mop.
Yeah.
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 But like long strings.
Yeah,
like
it's fluffy
really
hair.
long. But like the hair goes down, like long.
Okay, so his hair is a little bit more fine than a golden doodle.
Yeah, and longer.
I don't know what
I
to
didn't
tell
mean
you.
to spend this long talking about the dog, how it looked, but I was trying to build a picture. Okay, we're
Okay.
in the elevator. Dog gets in with this guy.
Very cute.
Very cute. We're chit-chatting with the guy. We hit the button for the elevator, and he says, "Appreciate you, bro." And I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." And Morgan says, "Who's the dog?" And he goes, "Oh, this is Sebastian.
Yeah.
Sebastian sits. Sebastian sits." And he goes, "Appreciate you, bro." Reaches down, gives him his hand to shake. And then Sebastian gets up again.
Yeah.
And then he goes, Sebastian, sit. Sebastian sits, and he reaches down, and he says, appreciate you, bro. And he gives him a shake. And I come to realize that he says, appreciate you, bro, to his dog every time his dog does something good. Instead of saying, good boy, he says, appreciate you, bro, and gives him a shake. And I just thought, that's kind of classy. Like telling your dog you appreciate him. And that was a perfect dog, no?
It was really,
to me,
it was very
that
cute.
was a perfect dog.
It was very sweet.
You could not say there was a flaw in that dog. He was
No.
very cute, very sweet, visually appealing.
Yes.
A little stouter
Yeah.
than maybe the athletic type, but very cute, smiley. Appreciate
What are
you, bro.
Like
I appreciate him.
Dog judge?
Yeah,
No.
I tell you, I've got my own rules. Anyway,
Okay.
It was a cool thing. I thought it was classic.
It was very cute.
Okay,
I
guys.
love that you thought he was talking to you.
I totally did.
Amazing.
Okay. That is our show, guys. Thanks so much for being here and hanging with us. Like and or subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. We're on all the apps. Episodes also on YouTube. Reach out to us on Instagram at That's No Class. You can also send us an email or a voicemail, that'snoclass@gmail.com, or call 877-7-NO-CLASS, or as Morgan likes to say, 877-766-2527. Call us up. We got off rhythm, but I did that intentionally to see how you would handle it. You handled it well. Good job. We love having your stories on the show.
Stay classy.
Stay classy and have a great week.